Thank you, RSD, church youths, and the pathfinders. Now we'll move to our speech from one of the representatives from our senior management of the University of Papua New Guinea. And we'll invite our registrar, our acting registrar, Mr. Robam Kakap, to come and give us the official speech. Thank you, Mr. Robam Kakap. Good morning, everyone. At this time, I'd like to, on behalf of the management, like to welcome all of you, the pathfinders, the youth. Thank you for being here and being part of this occasion, a very important occasion for the rest of the country. All the students, the staff, members, faculty members, and members of the UPHG community. We'd like to thank you for making the time to be here to celebrate this important event for all of us. This day gives us the freedom to be on our own. Firstly, I'd like to say that I have two issues. Number one, I cannot stand here for too long. And number two, I have no speech to deliver to you. And it will be very brief because I was just told a few minutes ago to be here. But I like to rise up to the occasion. I'm proud to be a Papua New Guinea, and this was gives me the freedom to stand on my legs to make a decision for the country. And I like to reflect on maybe just two occasions, and I'll finish. Firstly, I had the opportunity to live in Australia, and he was reflecting on how independence took place at the independence year. The time September 16 when the PNG flag was raised and the Australian flag was lowered. He's an Australian. He was here as an educator in the School of Education, the Department of Education that was here before it was moved to Goroka, to be the University of Goroka. And then he moved to PAU to add the Education Department. But he was reflecting on how independence, and this was when he retired from active service in the country and retired back to his country. And we were having that conversation, and you remember he was at that moment when the flag was lowered, and everybody was crying, and he was crying because the number of things. One, there was no bloodshed. Independence was given on a golden plate to us. We didn't have to fight for it. And it was said that this flag was lowered and a new flag was now being raised. The birth of Papua New Guinea, the nation of Papua New Guinea. And after that we have many interactions with even Michael Samara used to visit our home and reflecting on independence and what it means to all the Papua New Guineans. The other thing that I like to take us through is you may think that no blood was shed. There were blood was shed. And this is on my own story, the Mataungan. If you hear about the Mataungan, these are the people from Tola who fight for independence. And the people that was very vocal is Sergeant you may have something on social media talking about the heritage of Oscar Tamur and the Mataungans. These are the people who fought. And Jack Emanuel was murdered by my people, and that is fighting for independence. All right. We have the anti-white and the white. The Mataungans are basically anti-white. They don't want the white people to rule the country. So we get independence before the rest of the country. And it's different. But if you study the history of things in terms of colonization, the different groups of people that came and were part of our history. We have the planters that came and went, and then you have the explorers first, and then you have the planters that came and actually settled down and started plantations, and they were sending all these things back to England. All right, if you see the history, even the plantations were established around the country. They were sent back to England. And if you study, England actually was built on PNG resources to build up the empire. And for the New Guineas, and then after the planters, then we have the Germans that came. They were part of our history as well. And the Chinese came a little with the Portuguese. And then you have, this is where World War II comes into the picture, is where the Japanese want to take control of New Guinea. All right? There were two parts, the New Guinea and the Papuans. The Papuans, they were looked after by the British. They were well protected. They were eating from the king's table and the queen's table. They didn't know what fighting for independence is. And for us in New Guinea, we basically were slaves. We work in plantations. And if you disobey, they're going to kill you right on the spot. And if you happen to go to my place, East Dubuque, and you see there's tunnel in there. They were Japanese tunnels. They called Japanese tunnels. But they were not built by Japanese. They were actually built by local people. The Japanese stood there and they were slaves. Made them to dig those holes. And they were, when the war came, the Japanese goes in to take coverage and the local people stand outside to die. That's what it is. And I think you need to appreciate a bit of that history of how we gain our independence. So when we talk about the independence, the Papuan region were basically, they were already free. And the New Guinea Islands, these are the people who were actually fighting for independence. All right? And the New Guinea Islands, this from the New Britain Islands down to Mumase, even up to the islands. And evidence of this are the remains of the World War, you know. Those remains you can see in tunnels and all this. They were the evidence of that fighting for independence. But today I must say that I'm proud. I was born after independence. All right, and I hope that my colleague up here will reflect what it means to be during that time when independence took place. Hopefully, Mr. Wasem will say some light on it. He was there. Some of you here standing here today, you were part of that procession that took place when the flags were lowered. Australian flag was lowered and the Papua New Guinea flag was raised for the first time. It must be an occasion. And so I like to ask to remember that even though we got independence and a golden plate, it was not so for the rest of the country. Some of us had to fight for independence, to gain our independence. And there were bloodshed as well, was shed, which was not written in the history. All right? Because the history book was written by the whites. And they like to do what they want to portray to the rest of the country. But this is my history, my piece of history that I took from my ancestors that I like to share with you. And I hope that if you do a bit more research, you get to appreciate what our forefathers did for us. And today we stand respect to the people who fought for independence. In the leadership of Sir Michael Somare and the other people that their names didn't come out in the history book, but they fought for independence. And therefore, today as we reflect on what it means to be independent after 47 years, let us reflect in the true spirit of independence and celebrate in that sense that we are here and we have the freedom to actually make decisions and to be independent. But the question that all of us continue to ask is, are we truly independent? What does it mean to be independent? And this is every Papua New Guinean needs to stand up and show the rest of the world that we are independent. In terms of how we conduct ourselves, how we do business, let's show to the rest of the world that we are capable, we can run this country, and we can look after ourselves. As you know what the challenges that is facing us in the country today in terms of high cost of living, what can you and I contribute as educated elite of the country? What can we do in order to bring the inflation rate down? And this is a question that it's a bigger question that we have to start seriously thinking about. And New PNG is a unique place. This is where leaders are born. You know, this Forum Square, you go there and that is the parliament, the mini parliament of Papua New Guinea. And we have leaders who are actually born and raised here, and they are only shown in the parliament. But today, happy independence, Papua New Guinea, UPNG. I wish you all God's blessing today, and take care of yourself in whatever you do, and may God bless us. Thank you.